On this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast, how to theme park without debt. So welcome back to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast. My name is Shawn Yesner, owner and founder of Yesner Law, and with us, as always, is your financial coach, George Corbello. How you doing, George?
I'm doing well. I have to say, met with some new clients this week, and there's a huge theme about communication and, how to handle money, how to handle those extra expenses. We all complain that there's a lot of debt out there and there's a lot of expenses and everything, the rising prices of everything. And it's really more of just trying to help folks get a little bit more clarity in their budgets and gain control. So that was a good week. It was a good week for me, I gotta say. Thanks, man.
So I had a pretty good week as well. I'm trying to find it so that I make sure that I tell you this properly.
Accurately.
But all the different local magazines run their best of the best and that kind of stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
And Yesner Law, I don't know exactly where we ended up yet, but we made the top three
Nice.
For the Tampa Bay Times Best of the Best People's Choice in Bankruptcy Law.
Nice. Congratulations there.
yeah.
Top three is not bad. We got to get what do you need for number one? Do we have to go and vote on the Tampa Bay Times?
Next year when it comes out, you'll have to vote. I guess I need to be more popular.
Okay, we can.
Place.
Well, I mean, usually having a podcast helps with some of that, and the active networker that you are, and the beautiful, lovely face you have. I can imagine.
I have a face made for podcasting.
We will vote for you, my friend. You just got to let us know when and ready, and we'll have the troops out there getting you the vote and making you number one.
But yeah, no, I appreciate everyone who did vote, and I'm actually excited about winning this award. It's been a while since Yesner Law has won anything, so I think I want to try to promote that as best I can.
Yes, you do.
So, and we both toasted before we started recording this morning with our Magic Mind shots. How are you feeling?
I gotta say, the good taste. It was a shot. I have to say, reluctantly, I'm like, Shawn, do I take this as a shot or do I sip this? But we took it as shots, and it was good. It was refreshing, and I gotta say, you can tell already, I'm a little bit, ready to go and fired up and have the energy itself. So I do love the taste. I do love the way I'm feeling. So,
and there's no aftertaste.
No. I'm a little, again, I'm a little picky when it comes to my drinks and things like that. But this particular drink, no aftertaste. It goes down smooth, and like I said, I'm feeling energetic and ready for the day.
Yeah, I need to follow up with a friend of mine. I had a guy in one of my networking groups who listens to the show who said, I want to try one of those Magic Minds. I've been looking for an energy shot.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'll bring you one. I'll bring you, we get as sponsors of the show, we get a couple of free samples every month. And so I said to him, I'll bring you one or two. You can try it. He's like, nah, I'll order it.
There you go.
I need to follow up with him, but from what I understand, he likes it, but I want to maybe follow up with him, get a testimonial from him as well.
Absolutely.
Because now he's ordering them, he paid for them, so presumably he likes them. But
energy-wise is one thing, but it's that focus. And for me, I'm getting a little older, and I need something to keep me focused throughout the day and keep my mind a little sharp. So that's definitely a nice positive consequence from the drink.
Well, and now as we get back, so we got a lot to talk about on the show today, but as we get back to we're getting into August. We're getting into school starting. We did our back to school shopping, which we can get into as well.
Yes.
I know when this episode comes out on Thursday, that Thursday I will have a couple appointments in the morning. Mm-hmm. I'll have a mediation like mid-morning. Then next Thursday is Meet the Teacher Day for both my son in elementary school and my son in middle school.
Yeah.
It's also my son has a tutoring session for his bar mitzvah that afternoon.
Oh, there you go.
And I've got my HOA board meeting that night.
Well, that one I'm not excited about.
I wonder how many Magic Mind shots I will need.
We'll get you an IV. What you talking about?
Get through the end of my day. Well, the HOA board. So I've been kind of saying it, but I guess this is really one of the first times I've said it publicly. I think I will only have 2 months of HOA meetings left, August and September. and then I'm done. Right now, I do not intend to run for re-election on the HOA
Give
board.
yourself a break.
I am
That's
going
a
to
good
give
idea.
myself a break. So, one of the other reasons that I love taking the Magic Mind is the focus. And as I've been getting back from vacation, trying to get all caught up here at the office, I need a ton of focus. But ironically, that's one of the first things we're talking about today.
Yes, indeed. I would say, though, vacation, obviously if you've been lucky enough this summer to enjoy some time off from work, be able to enjoy some time with family. The one thing that I did notice, and I think we're all noticing, is where do you go? And then we're living in Florida. You got to go. You got to go to. I guess you got to go to Disney.
You got to go visit the Big Mouse.
You got to visit the Big Mouse and enjoy some time. There's so much to do at Disney. And the Disney Springs, is more of your kind of side attraction, but that's another thing that's available here in Orlando.
You want to know how old I am?
Okay, go ahead, please.
I am so old.
How old are you, Shawn?
How old are you, Shawn? To me, it's still downtown Disney.
There you go.
It's still Lake Buena Vista, downtown Disney.
You're old.
To me. So, yeah, I'm old.
Disney Springs is what the youngins call, it's Disney Springs, man. But that's a nice side attraction. But of course, going into the parks, there is so much to do, and just attractions. For me, it's the Star Wars experience. That's, for me, it's
Star
like if
Wars.
you're going to go and see Disney, that's got to be one of the attractions. But holy cow, dude, the costs that's associated with it. I'm not joking. Yes, your second mortgage to really enjoy Disney itself, that is a possibility that you have to kind of think about, because it is not cheap.
And so I want to say thank you. Ford Kai is with Action Coach. He's my business coach. He's a friend of mine. He sent me this article that prompted today's episode, and it's from the Tampa Bay Times. And the title of the article is Disney World beckons these families, so does debt.
Yeesh.
And, I get it. Disney is not a cheap vacation.
No.
It is an extremely fun vacation. It is one of my top vacations. I love going with the boys, but it is not cheap at all. You got to pay to get there.
Yep.
You got to
stay there, because
and
again, if
stay
you're a
there.
Florida resident, it's a different if you live here in Florida, but that's assuming you're coming from out of state to come to Disney.
Right. And so that's two different things. So,
Yeah.
so number one, you got to stay at a hotel.
Absolutely.
But then number two, if you're a Florida resident, you do get a Florida resident discount during certain time periods of the year. So
yeah, you get to go on Thursday at like 2:00 to go visit that.
exactly.
Like, that's a huge deal to be able to go when the kids are in school.
Exactly.
That's the.
But one of the ways to do Disney a little cheaper is you don't necessarily have to stay at the hotels on the monorail line.
True.
There are hotels, that still have bus access to all the different parks that you can stay at for a lot cheaper than, the Contemporary Hotel, the Polynesian Hotel. The Grand Floridian is tremendously expensive as a hotel, but that's the first expense that you've got to deal with.
Is where you're going to stay. How many days, first of all, is going to be the other thing, too. But where you're going to stay, here's the thing. If you're going to do the vacation right, of course you want to stay in the property. Think about it. You get to be able to take the monorail. You probably have early access. There's a tremendous amount of benefit when you're staying on site. To be honest with you, again, I'm going to go back to the Star Wars experience here. And just to be able to say, wow, I was able to stay in a replica, blah, 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 and be able to enjoy the experience of being there. For me, you're going to pay for that, though.
Yeah.
That's the big kicker.
Now, that's a special thing that Disney is running. So when we were out there, we stayed at the Contemporary Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
outside or inside?
We stayed on the monorail line.
On the monorail line. Okay,
so
gotcha.
if you're familiar with Disney.
Yeah, I'm going to assume everybody's not familiar with
Right.
Disney, so let's just, I want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
If you've ever seen a picture of Disney, they have the one hotel that the monorail actually goes inside.
Yep,
the
I've seen
hotel.
that. That's beautiful.
That's the hotel that we stayed at.
Beautiful.
It's, I think, the original hotel that was built there at Walt Disney World. That's where we stayed. Now, my mom and dad are members of the Disney Vacation Club. And
Got
so
it.
That is, in essence, a points timeshare.
Yeah.
So they get to use their points, and they can stay pretty much once a year at any hotel by using their points.
Got it.
So I got lucky. We got to stay at the hotel in essence, for free.
For
'cause
free,
it was
yeah.
part of my mom's.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Right. And so So we stayed at the Contemporary Hotel. Now, the day that I arrived, so typically the way that we do Disney, we do go to Disney Springs that first day. So I left Friday morning. We got there Friday at around 2, 3 o'clock. We had to deal with that parking lot called I-4. But we left here at, I think, noon.
Oh, bad time.
And we got to downtown Disney. Well, actually, we went to the Contemporary, dropped off our cars, and then jumped on the bus and went over to Disney Springs.
Sure.
By the time we got to Disney Springs, it was probably close to 4 o'clock. And for those that don't know, Disney Springs is basically all shopping.
Yeah,
There's
restaurants, shopping,
stores.
Yep.
There's a Tommy Bahama out there. There's what's the surf place? They sell surfing clothes and whatnot. They're out there.
Oh, I know what you're saying. I got you. Okay.
I think Ron John. I think
something like that. Yeah,
something like that.
Okay.
And a whole bunch of different stores.
There's
and
a candy cauldron that you have to visit there.
Goofy's Candy Shop is
Oh,
out there.
oh.
I still have candy at my house from Goofy's Candy Shop, and as we record this, we're 2 weeks beyond my vacation, and I still have candy. They have the T-Rex restaurant where they have the animatronic dinosaurs, the Rainforest Cafe where they have the animatronic animals. Those are both out there. There's all kinds of cool stuff out there. So we go to the hotel, we drop off our cars, we then take the bus over to Disney Springs. But when we got to the hotel, each of my kids wanted a water or a soda or something.
Sure.
Now, I packed a cooler with stuff in it. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I don't want to walk all the way back out to the car, try to get into the cooler, do all that. So I bought them each a bottle of whatever, water, soda, whatever it was, $5.75 each.
Eesh.
Not total, each. That was the start of my Disney vacation.
That's the start. Okay.
But, the place that we stayed happened to have, it was a suite because it was me and my boys and my mom and my sister and my niece. And so we got a suite. One of the things I realized is the suite had a full kitchen. It had a full-size refrigerator, stove, dishwasher, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, wow. Okay, very nice.
One of the things we could have done to do Disney cheaper was bring and cook our own food.
Have something available for snacks and things.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, I did bring a box of snacks, and so I had a book bag, and I would load some snacks in the book bag every day and go when we would go to the various parks. And that way, if the boys wanted a snack, I could pull out a bag of chips rather than buying popcorn or something.
Sure.
We still did. We still, if they wanted popcorn, we'd get one. But that was another way that I was able to save a little bit of money was by bringing all the snacks that we were going to eat while we were in the different parks. I just loaded them up in a book bag and brought them with me. Another way that we saved a bunch of money, which kind of goes into the topic that we're talking about even more, my mom has a Disney, I forget, Visa, MasterCard, whatever, but it's a points card that gives you credit at Disney.
Oh, okay.
So she basically charges everything on that card and pays it off every month, so that by the time when we went to Disney this last time, she had between $600 and $700 of cash back.
Wow.
That
can be used towards.
Right. Instead of cash back, you say, I got $600 of cash back. I'm going to use that to buy this hot dog.
That's a particular purchase, but okay.
Whatever it is.
I went to Disney to buy a hot dog.
A $600 hot dog. So, but that's something else that she did.
Absolutely.
So, but this article that Ford sent us, it's from the Tampa Bay Times. Disney World beckons these families, but so does debt.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, people are attracted to Orlando, to California. Again, Disney World, Disneyland.
Right.
You're going to these
Euro Disney.
Again, you're going to these places because there's an experience that you're trying to do, and of course, you have kids. You want to enjoy, those kind of experiences with your families. The problem that you run into is, you're right, it's the expense that's tied to it. And of course, Disney, as much as these theme parks, again, it's not just Disney, you're talking Universal, they're all going to play the same. It's how much is it to be able to get into the parks? What are we getting as part of that? Then you have how many people are going. So again, how many rides can you get on each day? If there's a particular ride, they have now these fast passes, the ultra fastes, everything to be able to do something, schedule time. There's a lot involved.
So Disney has what is called, so they have Genie Plus, and they have Lightning Lane. Mm-hmm. Genie Plus is, depending on the park and depending on the day, I had seen Genie Plus as cheap as $18 or $19 per person.
Yep.
And I had seen it expensive as $25 per person.
Mm-hmm.
So what Genie Plus is there's a Disney app that you install on your phone.
Yep.
You buy the Genie Plus, and then you say, I want to ride Space Mountain.
Yep.
And it'll say, okay, you can come to Space Mountain between 9:10 and 10:10 in the morning.
Sure.
And ride Space Mountain. Now, you can't get the next Genie Plus until you're in line with the first
You get
Genie
the one,
Plus.
right? You get one at a time.
So while you're in line for Space Mountain, you then click and say, I want to go to Thunder Mountain.
Right.
And then while you're at Thunder Mountain, you click and you say, so that's Genie Plus. And you can do those all day, but you can only do one at a time.
Right. There's a limit to
Right.
it. And of course, those get, I'd imagine, packed. The wait list, depending on, you might not be able to do a ride in the afternoon
Right.
because, X amount of people have already
There
signed up for it.
There were 2 rides that we wanted to do that we couldn't. One of them was they have a Slinky Dog ride at, from Toy Story.
Yes, indeed.
At Hollywood Studios or Disney Studios. I forget what it's called now. By the time we tried to register for the Genie Plus, the only available time was like 7:40 at night.
Oh, wow.
Well, if we had picked that time, we could not have done any other Genie
else.
Pluses during
Gotcha,
the day.
Gotcha.
And by the time we got to the point where we wanted to try to get a Genie Plus, there were no more Genie Pluses available because the park would have closed beyond that time. So Slinky Dog, and then there's the Frozen ride at Epcot, which was the same kind of thing. It was by the time we wanted to try to get the Genie Plus, it was so late at night we would never have been able to get on that ride.
Gotcha.
So those are the only 2 we didn't get to go on. But then the other thing that you can buy is something called a Lightning Lane.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget how much the Lightning Lanes cost. I think it's the same amount, anywhere from $18 to $25 per person. But Lightning Lane allows you to choose your time to go on a specific ride. And so only certain rides allow Lightning Lane, so the more popular ones.
Yeah.
So the new Guardians of the Galaxy ride.
Gotcha.
The new Tron roller coaster, which is right next to Space Mountain.
Nice.
Those you can buy a Lightning Lane for, and you say, okay, I want to be there between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock in the morning if there are Lightning Lanes available. So you can do Lightning Lane and Genie Plus. And then the other thing you can do, and I don't think this costs, but for the big rides, for the Tron and the Guardians of the Galaxy and those kinds of things, you can also do a virtual queue. So the virtual queue, they only offer them at 7 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. And so you basically, as soon as the virtual queue opens up, you click, I want to ride Tron.
Yeah, right.
And depending on how fast you click that you want to ride the ride is where it assigns you your number.
Yeah.
And then it says, okay, now calling. So when we first registered for Tron, we were group 44 or something like that.
Okay.
And as soon as the park opened, it said, okay, we're boarding groups 1 through 30. And so by the time we got around to 44, where our number was, it was like 11:30 in the morning.
Okay.
And when I did Guardians of the Galaxy, literally, I had booked Guardians of the Galaxy before 7:01.
Okay.
Before 7:01,
Okay.
I booked Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
We were group 80.
Oh, wow.
80.
That popular.
But you combine the virtual pass with the Lightning Lane, and we got to go on Tron, and we got to go on Guardians of the Galaxy twice.
Nice.
But it takes...
And it's a cost, though, for each of those, right?
I don't believe the virtual
Like, do
queue
they have a
is
combo,
cost.
or is there
No.
a combo for those? Like, is it one or the other when it comes to those kind of passes?
I don't think the virtual queue is a charge. I
Okay.
think the virtual queue, you just got to get online.
You just got to be lucky enough to get on there.
But the Genie Plus and the Lightning Lane are charges.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
and everyone, but Busch Gardens has them.
Yeah, they all
Universal
have
They
them,
all have
correct.
those where you pay extra to skip the line kind of thing. So, but that's another charge that you have to worry about at Disney. The food you got to worry
Food
about.
is always going to be, because if you're coming in August, if you're coming this time of year, it's hot out there, guys. So you're walking a ton of miles. I'm going to ask you how many steps you guys maybe estimate how many kids. But you need water. We need water. You need to stay hydrated. You need to stay nourished as part of that. So even if you said, hey, let's say you're going to the hotel, you have stuff. do you go back to the hotel every time to take a break and get food and do those kind of things? A lot of times you want to stay in the park, so there's going to be a cost that you need to make sure you kind of account for too.
Well, you can if you want to save some money. You can go back depending on where your hotel
and
is.
that's where it is too. Correct.
It's a little
I'm
bit
assuming
easier.
you're on the monorail. If you're in the park, you can at least take advantage of that.
And there's only 2 parks that are on the monorail line. The Magic Kingdom and Epcot are on the monorail line. If you want to go to Animal Kingdom or
another
Disney
ride.
Studios, you got to get on a bus. Or they also have another way to get there. But what I did is I would bring we bought one of those 40 packs of water bottles from Costco.
Sure.
And then just threw the thing in the fridge when we got to the hotel. And then in the morning, I'd grab a water bottle. We got smart like the last 2 days of the trip, and we ended up putting the water bottle in the freezer the night before.
Oh, so at least
and so that way, as it would melt,
makes
it would
sense.
stay cold. But I would bring a water bottle into the park with me, drink the water, and then they do have water fountains in the park, so you can refill. Now the water wasn't cold,
Great, yeah.
but it was water.
It's
So, or you spend $5 and you buy a bottle of water. You buy a Coke or a Diet Coke or a whatever.
Right.
Some of the parks, Hollywood Studios has alcohol, and Epcot has alcohol.
Has
I don't think the Magic Kingdom, unless you go to one of the restaurants, I don't think they
I think
have
there's
alcohol.
designated areas, but
Yeah.
there's not like you can kind of walk around.
Gosh, a $16 Bloody Mary, I think, is what I had in one of the mornings.
That's like New York prices. That's not too bad.
It was nuts. But that's, and then that's not counting souvenirs.
Right. So that's the other thing too. When you're going out in these trips, you want to take a memory back. And I would imagine every one of these areas has a store that you can come in, visit, look at memorabilia, T-shirts, foam hands, any of those kind of things itself. So you need to make sure you can bring something home.
And
Shot glasses.
The thing that I'll say about Disney though is some of the stores are different. So like when we were at Epcot and we got done with the Guardians of the Galaxy ride,
Yep.
they had all the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff in the store. And then we would go to where did we go? We went to Space Mountain and Tron.
Yep.
And we got off those rides and they had all the Tron and Space Mountain related stuff. But that was specific to those rides. All the other stuff in the shop you could get at any of the shops.
Yeah, they were available
So
anyway.
once you saw it somewhere, you could get it almost anywhere.
Right.
So you don't necessarily have to buy
at that store because
Right.
you'll be able to find it somewhere else as well.
Right.
You might even be lucky enough. I think they do have it even in Disney Springs. They do have
Right.
those stores in Disney where it's like, the only thing you can buy is at the park.
Right.
And it's like, no, I think there's options to be able to buy them, in some of the other stores outside of Disney too,
Yeah.
meaning Disney Springs.
And I don't recall, but I think you can buy it and have it sent to your room.
Yes.
I think.
Some places.
Or I think you can buy it and pick it up later, so you're not carrying
That's another
it around
thing.
the park
That's
all day.
yeah. I mean, convenience.
Yeah.
You got. I don't know if do you pay for that though. I mean, I imagine.
I have no idea.
But there's convenience there. But that's nice that they actually have those for because again, if you buy something, now you got to walk around
Right.
with a T-shirt or something like that,
But-
or stuff a stuffed animal for the rest of the day. It's like no, it's not going to work for me.
Yeah, but what I would say is, I mean, you plan ahead of time, so you buy the waters, you buy the snacks, you do that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think you also plan ahead of time or budget for, how much do I want to spend on souvenirs? How much do I want to,
That's responsible.
do I want to get a shirt? Do I want to get
Yeah.
a hat? Do I want to get a So I actually did make a mistake. I knew that I wanted a hat. I waited until the last day to get one.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up buying a hat. It was like whatever, $30, $40,
Yeah, that's
whatever it was.
typical. Like a
But-
baseball cap or
Yeah,
like
baseball.
Gotcha.
But
okay.
it doesn't. I don't like the way it fits my head. But I was in such a rush to buy it. It was our last.
you needed a
We
memorabilia.
were
and you just
on our
bought
way
it.
to breakfast. It was our last morning. I'm like, let me just run in here real quick because they don't seat you unless the entire party's there.
Yes.
So I'm like, let me run in, grab this. I know which one I want. I know the design
Go
I
get
want.
it.
I found it. I bought it. And then I put it on my head and I was like, yeah. Despite what most people think, I have a very small head. And so not a lot of hats fit me well.
Gotcha.
So I could wear like a large kid-size baseball hat. So
You can do fitted, but
fit. If I do fitted, it's got to be a smaller medium.
Wow.
If
Okay.
I'm in a large, I swim in the thing.
That's too funny.
But we're kind of bashing Disney, but
it's
not just
it's not about the parks, and it's more of like the prep work.
Right.
I mean, and what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing it on TikTok as well. It's this. You want the experience. I need something to do. There's something that I need to, that I want to get from the trip. And we just get into this endless, like, spend. I want the best room. I want to have the passes. I want to eat. I want to experience. My kids want to do this. They need to have the foam, what is it? The ears. Got to buy the ears and all that.
We got off the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, and they have this huge stuffed animal Groot and a huge stuffed animal Rocket Raccoon, which probably are about, I don't know, I would say from your stomach to your chest. Big.
Okay, so they're big.
Big. Not huge, but big. I think my younger son wanted Rocket, and my older son wanted Groot. And,
Yeah, and they're not cheap, I would imagine, from that standpoint. So
I think I spent like $70 on both of them.
Oof.
Yeah, it was.
But that's what we need to, when it comes to these kind of planning and really just understanding from a vacation standpoint. We don't account for that going into. We only see like here's the other thing too, flying. If you're coming out of state, are you flying? Are you driving? Or any of those? Do you need to rent a car? Those are other expenses that if you're not staying on the camp, in Disney itself, those are other expenses that you have to account for. And those are the costs that before you even get to the front door, you need to make sure that you're accounting for. And I've seen people spending thousands, if not $10,000 for a family of 4 to go to Disney and have that experience. I mean, dude, what?
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
This article references a guy who had a family member die, stage 4 lung cancer, a month earlier. So wanted to take the family to Disney. Budgeted $10,000 for the trip and spent $16,000.
Budgeted and spent $16,000. Wow.
That means they didn't stick to the budget.
No. It's
or they under budgeted.
I mean, a lot of times I think we underestimate what the experience cost is going to be. The fact that you start with the $10,000 number, that means they were going all out. It's like, hey, nice hotel stays.
So when he got to the park, he'd already paid off his family's airfare.
Okay, so that's got to be part of that. Okay.
A stay at Disney's Pop Century Resort.
Okay.
Now, I don't know where the Pop Century Resort is, but it's not one of the big hotels. Yeah. It's one of the off-site. Mm-hmm. They probably have bus service to and from the different parks. Basic admission to Disney World. Now, you also got to be careful because they have the basic admission, but they also have the park hoppers.
Yes.
And the park hoppers are more. I would not suggest the park hoppers. In other words, if the park hoppers would be, we're going to go to the Magic Kingdom in the morning, we're going to go to Epcot in the afternoon. I wouldn't do that. Spend the whole day at the Magic Kingdom, get everything out of the way.
I would agree.
The passes will be cheaper to have just a one park pass versus a park hopper.
But here's the thing: if you're there, let's assume you're there for multiple days.
Right.
You need the hopper to be able to go. Unless you're paying for like each park each day, there is benefit to having the park hoppers available. Depending on what you're trying to do in one day.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I will say that we did get done with Animal Kingdom probably in less than a full day.
Yeah.
So maybe the park hopper would be good if you wanted to do like Animal Kingdom in the morning, but then you wanted to go to the Magic Kingdom to see the fireworks.
Correct.
Maybe. But even then, I mean, the way that we do Disney, we do one park a day.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
First day we were at Disney Studios. Second day we were at the Magic Kingdom. Third day we were at Animal Kingdom. Fourth day we were at Epcot. And those were the only parks. Now, again, staying at the Contemporary, we had a view because the Contemporary is walking distance. It's on the monorail line, but it's walking distance to the Magic Kingdom.
Right.
And every night, the Magic Kingdom had the fireworks show at 9 o'clock.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And you could see it from the balcony.
Oh,
you could
that's
see
nice.
It from,
that's nice.
There's a bridge.
Again, assuming but you're paying for those kind of things as well to be able to get. You're still there, and you're not there. Like you're not having to be on the park, but you're still seeing the fireworks. You get the those kind of experiences that you might not normally. So you're paying for that.
Yeah.
Points wise, or if you're staying there each night. I know some of those kind of hotel stays at like your prime times, those are like $600-700 a night. They're not cheap each evening as well.
Well, and here's one of the things that, I do think time of year makes a difference.
Absolutely.
You don't. We went June, or July, which people joke. We went after the 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
People kept joking, it's so hot, it's going to be hot, it's going to be hot. And it was.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of water weight at Disney. But because it was so hot, I don't think the parks were as crowded.
Not as crowded.
As if we had gone during, fall or early winter
right.
or, spring break or something like that.
And maybe for another episode as well, because it wasn't as packed, is that a sign of the times? Are people a little bit more, a little conscious about the spending? You would think that these, this is the vacation. There's a lot happening. People are time off, and they're like, we should be going to Disney. It not being so packed, is that just more of like, ooh, maybe people are a little tightened with their wallets right now when it comes to these types of big spendings?
Yeah. Well, and there's one of these stories in this article. The couple had saved and planned for 5 years to afford the Disney trip.
Got it. Okay.
They budgeted $2,000 for food and souvenirs, but ended up taking out a $10,000 loan after the vacation.
Whoa.
Almost half of that was needed to pay off additional purchases,
like
a pair of new gold wedding bands at Disney Springs.
Okay, come on. Okay, yeah.
So
once in a lifetime, I get it. But come on. Okay, all right. Well, hey, I don't think I would buy, I guess, wedding bands at Disney, but that's some fanfare right there. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So but again, I don't necessarily want to.
It's not bashing Disney.
We're not bashing Disney.
No.
So when a friend of mine bought me and my kids Busch Gardens annual passes.
Yep.
So that we can go to Busch Gardens. Now the thing is, I feel so terrible. We've only been once.
Yep.
Now the one time we went, I said, well, let me upgrade my pass to, so there's the basic pass, and then there's the silver pass, and the silver pass at Busch Gardens gives you free parking.
Yep.
And it gives you a discount on food and souvenirs and all that at 10%.
Like 10%, yep.
So I said, well, let me upgrade mine to the silver pass so that, plus the basic annual pass is January 1 to December 31. The silver pass is 1 year from when you buy it.
Right, so it's not locked in each year.
So I said, let me buy the silver pass because I know we're going to come back. This will give me free parking. This will give me a discount on all the stuff. So my free passes to Busch Gardens
cost you
$350. And that was for the silver pass. That was for the food that we bought that day. That was for some souvenirs we bought that day. So it's not just Disney. It's all theme parks.
And it's not, you have to think about it too. It's not just, the price of admission, getting into the park to do certain things. You're going to run into you got to eat, there's going to be experiences, you're going to want to buy something. So these are the other things that when we talk about planning for these types of trips, especially if you're coming out of state, coming to these kind of locations, you got to anticipate those kind of things. But would you spend $10,000? Is it $16,000? Is that something, Shawn, you would? I mean, I guess if you do it once, maybe once in a lifetime to say. But what I would say, spend again. Maybe I'm old. I'll spend $16,000. I'll go to France or Italy or that's for me. But I'm an old guy. I guess when you have kids. That experience, that's what you're buying for, is that, the smile on the kids. It's the smile that you're trying to get from the family. That kind of thing.
And I will say that, with two boys, and I learned that my boys love roller coasters, which I do as well.
Awesome.
And so now with two boys, Disney makes a lot more sense, especially
they're older.
Since they enjoy the roller coasters, which I enjoy as well. But, I get it. Is Disney the best vacation if you had... like for example, we used to go to Legoland every year. We may end up going again this coming year, but at some point the kids outgrow the Legos. At some point, girls don't, and they make.
We all become adults. I get it.
Right. They make Legos for girls, but Legos tend to be more of a toy for boys. So. The type of family you have may also dictate the type
where you go
vacation you want.
Makes sense.
And I, my wife used to say all the time that she, I don't want to go to Disney every year. And I get it. It's not something we can afford to do. But at the same time, you also want to get in those other experiences. Like we went to the Grand Canyon last year.
Yeah, exactly.
We went to Georgia this year, Georgia and Tennessee this year. So I get it. You don't want to go to the same place every year on vacation. You want to have more experiences than that. But at the same time, Disney seems to work well for me and my boys.
Yeah, they're still at that age, and as a parent, and I think I got old ones. You want to have those experiences when they're young and see that joy, see that that pleasure that they get. I mean, as parents, that's what you live for, is those kind of moments. So I see why you go into those situations and really want to, but for me, it's like the debt. Like, do I go into that much debt? Is it worth that much? And people will argue, yes, it is, because we only live once, and you got
making memories.
I understand that, but for me, it's like, instead of debt, then just save up. Budget for it, save up for it, so that experience. You don't have to relive like, oh wow, that was really good. I'm still paying for that trip we had 3 years ago to Disney. That's where I just want to kind of draw the line. That's all.
And I'll say, I grew up in Miami. We used to go to Disney every year. I think I think we went to Disney every year until I got to high school.
Yep.
And when I got to high school, we went to Disney one year because my parents, we had it down. They would pull us out in October.
Right.
They'd pull us out of school. We'd go to Disney for a week. And the reason we chose October, school had just started.
Yes.
Thanksgiving hadn't come yet.
Yep.
The parks were not as crowded in October.
Mm-hmm.
And up until high school, it didn't matter. I got to high school. We took our first Disney trip in October when I was in high school. I got back, and I had a mound of homework. And I said to my parents, I can't
do this anymore.
I can't go for a week in October and miss a week of school. And that's basically when it started to trail off. But I don't know what I enjoy more, is my memories of Disney with my parents or now seeing it again through my kids' eyes.
Yeah.
There's also something cool about that.
That's you will always appreciate those trips that you have and the vacations you have with your parents, but dude, it's never the same when it comes to be your kids. So I get it. I understand why. We will justify any debt in our life. All I'm saying is, try to budget. I would say put a budget aside, put some money aside, so that it's not something that you get to remember through your debt. I'd rather you be remembering it through your photos and your memories.
Opening up that credit card bill, going, I remember buying that.
Oh, what a good time of how we stayed at Disney. Whoops.
Yeah. I mean, the other stuff we didn't mention that Disney also throws in, the photo passes when you want to get pictures. So you bring your own camera to take pictures, and there's all this other little stuff. There's some costs
with that too. Yeah,
well, and again, not to bash Disney, Busch Gardens does the same thing.
They all do it.
Universal does the same thing. They
Absolutely.
all do the same thing. But there are ways, and that's probably an episode for another podcast or a different podcast.
There you go.
There are ways to do Disney more affordably.
Yeah. Or any of the parks that you like to visit.
Exactly. So other than that, I do want to say again, I did bring my Magic Mind to Disney, so that I was alert and I was ready for every day. You asked a question earlier. I will tell you the shortest distance that we walked was
steps-wise.
Steps-wise was about 7 miles, 6.5, 7 miles.
So 17.
What was
16
the shortest
pounds?
distance?
Oh,
we walked.
wow.
The longest distance we walked in a day, wandering around the parks, was between 8 and 9 miles. So each park was anywhere from 6-7 miles to 8-9 miles each park.
So about 17,000 to 25,000 steps. That is a lot of steps, which is good.
And we did 4 parks. We have, so one of the other things we do, which again, if you want to do Disney cheap, this is not the way to do it. But one of the things that I asked my mom is, the way my family is wired, and I'll admit I'm wired the same way too. You need reservations if you're going to have breakfast and dinner. You need reservations at Disney. And so it would be one of those things at 7 o'clock in the morning, my mom is turning on lights. We got to get up and go.
You got to go.
Reservation.
Yeah. And
you basically go. And then we got the Genie Plus, and then we got the Lightning Lane, and then we got the virtual queue, and then we got lunch, and then we got this.
It's a good mom.
And we got this, and we got this. So we always told my mom, or tell my mom, give me one day where there's nothing planned.
Nice.
And so we got there Friday. We did park Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Tuesday was our nothing day. And then Wednesday we did the last park, and then Thursday we came home. And so on that Tuesday we went to the hotel pool.
Yeah.
We slept
you need a day
in.
to be vacation.
Right.
You don't actually do nothing. Yeah,
that
exactly.
One day. That is
smart.
That is not the way to save money on a vacation, by building in basically an extra night in the hotel.
True.
But I did have my Magic Mind with me. I did use it when I was there. It
Right.
helped me. It helped me with the vacation. So again, and I apologize to Magic Mind. I forgot to mention our code. If you want to order Magic Mind, you can go to magicmind.com/crushing20. That'll give you 20% off your first order of Magic Mind. So that will help us out as well. Again, magicmind.com/crushing20. I also want to say thank you to all the patrons out there. We're still filling up our Patreon page with other media that you don't hear on the weekly free show. So if you want access to some of that, you can go to patreon.com/crushingdebt. Also, big thank you to our longtime supporter, Sam Cohen, owner of Attorneys First Insurance. If you're an attorney, if you're a title company, and you want to look at malpractice coverage, contact Sam at attorneysfirst.com. He will take care of you there. I'm almost as tired doing this episode as I was going on vacation.
So we need a vacation from the podcast episode. But no, this was great, man. I be good out there and enjoy life. But it's one of those kinds. Just be responsible for all the experiences that you plan for in the day. So that's all I would say with that.
And if you do a Disney vacation, it'll be really hard. But we hope that you have more money at the end of the month than month at the end of the money. And we will talk to you in next week's episode of the podcast.